All right, and I was glad to hear about the addition of the bomb mode and the hopefully the better AI, because I've spent a couple days in Team Survivor having the bots defile my body.
Now the AI, the bot AI is not done. They're still working on it, and that's not going to be included in 3.0. That's probably going to end up being a separate pack file that we make available when he's finished with it. And we're not even sure, because we run the game on what they call VMs, virtual machines, so Mac users and Linux users can also play the game. Whereas I think his name's Axon Misfire. I think he's possibly programming in DLLs, which are only specific for Windows platforms. So we might have some compatibility issues there. Bots might only be, used for PCs. I don't know. It's over my head. I just have to be able to explain it when I'm asked. You got to go to Silicon, go to our team site and just read his .plan, and you're like, huh, what's he talking about here? Because it's just amazing. I mean, the amount of work and time he's putting into this, it's just awesome. Just awesome.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Okay, any other questions or anything? All right, I've got a couple more I want to follow up with you on. All right. If I could. Hopefully these are a little more enjoyable for you. In all the time that you've spent with Urban Terror, what's your favorite moment? What's the most memorable thing that you've accomplished in all the work you've done with Urban Terror?
Being invited to Quakecon and checking out the IT offices. I mean, seriously, meeting Robert Duffy and Graham Devine and Kevin Cloud and some of these guys who, you consider, game legends, game gods. Granted, we didn't see Carmack that day, but I mean, we got to tour.
Just saw him the next day.
Yeah, exactly. We got to tour id Software, and unfortunately, not everybody on the team got to do that. But I mean, it was kind of cool being showcased by id Software at the premier Quake event at Quakecon. Not to pimp Quakecon. Everland's cool too.
Very good.
But I mean, that's sort of, I guess that's sort of bad though, because that's sort of a personal thing. But for the team, just seeing the support we get on a release. I mean, I can't pick one out because I mean, Beta 2 was a great release. Granted, it had its problems once you have all this build up to a release, and the team's excited, the community's excited, they get something new, and then 30 minutes after you release it, people are sending you messages saying, well, this sucks, this is broken, I don't like this. And that build-up suddenly goes, and it drops.
Drops off.
But I mean, our last big release, I think it was 2.5, we had something like 900 people tuned in to the Urban Radio pregame show, and we had something like 1,400 people on 2 IRC channels, and it just basically blew our minds.
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
We were just like, wow, look at the support we're getting.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, so that's one of the moments that the team really cherishes, I guess.
Lowest point in Urban Terror. What's been the most?
Seeing people leave, seeing people that you really like to interact with, not only on an internet basis, but a personal level. Just one guy, his name was Dr. 8. He was one of our first covers. He's from Australia. And he's a good guy. I mean, he was working on his doctorate at the time in communication. So seeing the community actually transform from nothing into a core group of gamers, and then beyond is something that he actually used in real life for his thesis. And I went down there and visited him. He came up to LA and hung out. So this has been 2 years ago. But I mean, I'm a friend. I mean, that's one of the things. But a low point, like I said, just seeing people go who you really enjoy working with. And we all know that sooner or later it's going to happen. I mean, we're realistic about it. Urban Terror someday nobody's going to play it. I mean, the team will most likely dissolve, or the game will just be a has-been. Oh, I played that game back when. But just seeing that some of the people go that you've worked with for two or 3 years.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of leads into my next question is, where do you see Urban Terror going? And if it does kind of fade because of technology and new games and new weapons and so forth, do you see yourself latching onto a new mod, or where do you see that whole area going?
Well, personally, I was approached probably into last year by another group out of the U.S. who was doing some sort of I don't know if it was a real-time simulation game or what. They were in need of a PR project coordinator type person. Excuse me. And I said, yeah, I'm possibly interested. And I did at that time I really didn't know what we were going to do with Urban Terror. It might go somewhere, it might not. So I kept talking back and forth with this guy, and I said, I'm not going to do it. And I said, Urban Terror still got life. We got a team still dedicated. And I think at this time we had lost a coder. He had, I think, went to Raven, so we were sort of without a coder for like a 2-month period. And we're all looking at each other going, okay, who are we going to get? Because without a coder, you basically don't have a mod. I mean, not that they're the only person there, but I mean, if you don't have anybody who codes, I mean,
Absolutely.
you're really in a rut. So, but for Urban Terror, we've talked about becoming our own software studio. Maybe calling it Silicon Ice, I don't know. People have asked us if we plan on porting into a new engine, 2 engines. Well, the engine that comes up is the Doom 3 engine. You guys going to make it for Quake 4 or Doom 3? Right now, we don't know. It's too far out. Something just recently, and somebody actually asked it on the forums, and we sort of sidestepped the question, but I'll answer it now. Got an email from id Software, Kevin Cloud contacted us and asked us if we're interested in porting it for Return to Castle Wolfenstein's Enemy Territory. Because if you know, or maybe you don't know, Enemy Territory is a standalone game. So Urban Terror could actually be its own standalone game. You wouldn't need Quake 3, you wouldn't need a CD key, it's got Punkbuster. So when it comes to that, I mean, we're like, you know, this would be very cool. I mean, this would be something good for the team. We would have our own standalone game. But on the flip side, you look at it, it's like, well, now we're going to have to port everything. Granted, it's still the Quake 3 engine. It's Wolfenstein. There's many upgrades in the engine, as I was talking to some of the guys from Splash Damage who actually got to play with the source code. But it would probably realistically take us 12 to 14 months to do it. And like I said earlier, Urban Terror doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
And we just, some of the guys, some of the girls just can't put that amount of time into it if they're not going to see something out of it. And, you know, some of us have other jobs. I mean, I got a 40-hour-a-week job. Blade Killer's got a 40-hour-a-week job. So, I mean, some of us are, you know, doing this on our free time as a hobby. And, yeah, I mean, sure, we love the interaction. We like working with each other and hanging out with the community. But we're not really sure what we're going to do next. I mean, right now we're dead set on actually getting a version release of Urban Terror out. Not that that's going to be the final version, but we'll be happy when it's just Urban Terror, and not Urban Terror Beta 3 or Beta 2 point whatever.
Right.
So that's one of our goals that we're still
Right.
reaching for.
Sounds excellent. Any last comments or messages that you have for the community that plays for you? Anything for the gamers that love Urban Terror so much?
Well, I'll get one of them out of the way, and I'm surprised it wasn't asked. Everybody wants to know when the release date is, and we're probably 1 or 2 days away from our code freeze. So after we get the code freeze, no more changes. We're basically just going to play it out, test it, and if there's any bugs, we're going to fix it from that point on. So it's going to be released before Quakecon, which is obviously August, but most likely before the end of July. We're still working on the date. I can't give the exact date, but July, there's only, what, 24 days remaining, so.
Clock's ticking.
So yeah, I mean, you're probably within 3 weeks of a release, and I mean, once we announce it, it'll be on our websites, and I'll probably get back into doing urban radio and start the PR machine rolling, as I like to say. But last things, just the community. Like I said, it's been amazing just seeing a game, you know, and the way we would track it would be on GameSpy stats. We'd always look at our stats. Oh, look at this, we got 50 servers and 40 people playing. Then you look at the #1 log going, you know, someday we're going to be there. And, you know, it's been a long ride and a lot of work, a lot of effort. Many people have helped out, both on the team and throughout the community. And, you know, now I think we've achieved a point where, you know, we're very happy. We're excited, you know, what we've made. And we have a very strong community, both in North America and in Europe, and you know, basically all we want to say is thank you for playing our game, and you know, hopefully it lives up to all your expectations. Very cool, very cool. Well, Oswald, I certainly want to very much thank you for your time. It has been an honor and a privilege, and